Um, I still almost want to say nice to see you, and forgive me if you've heard that before. I just like I say, it's a by faith thing. But hey, nice to have you. Um, how are you doing today? I hope you're doing well. I'm doing well myself. I wanted to I wanted to share a couple thoughts, and actually just what happened or what I went through on Sunday, just as a trusting that it's going to be encouraging for you. Okay. Um, so I titled this video "How to Have More Joy," because you know, excuse me, joy is something amazing. Um, and it's something that I love learning about. It's something that I honestly, it's something that I love to experience and more and more. You know what I mean? Like it just it's important to me. I think I can go into a long story, but for me, some of you've heard maybe in my background, my dad struggled with depression for a long time, years and years. And so for me as a kid growing up, I just that it bothered me. It bothered me because I was like, man, like, seeing my dad struggle with depression for so long, like I was just like, for me, that was the worst. Just as a kid growing up, like I was just like, man, that's not life. You know what I mean? Like to have this heavy weight on your shoulders, like um and I think and for me as a kid, I was just like, man, like, is there something that I can do to like to not go down that road? And I think about Jesus' own words when he said, like, he came to give us life in abundance, so anyways, I say that as a bit of a just a quick background, just to say, like, I think as a kid, like, this issue of joy was an important thing for me, and I was like, I want to learn because I was curious. Be, because, well, for point number one, I saw in the Bible that joy is a fruit of the Holy Spirit. Okay, there in Galatians, where it speaks about the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy. Like, joy is like listed just after love, like love, joy, peace, and it goes on, right? So joy is a fruit of the Spirit. And then also, I saw it lived out in people like Paul, who went through incredible trials, right? Um, some of the things he went through, right? And you see him writing there in Philippians specifically. You see him there writing about, rejoice. I will say it again, like, rejoice, from a guy who's gone through a lot of trials and tribulations. So that really intrigued me, I think, from some point as a kid. And so anyways, let me share a little experience from what I experienced, just a couple days ago. So Sunday, this previous Sunday, okay. um for whatever reason, I just the day started off a little rough for me. uh, I don't even exactly, know why, but I was getting ready. We were getting ready to go to church, and you know, uh, so yeah, I was kind of like a little bit rushing, trying to be on time. We've got we're a family of four, so it's four of us to be on time. Anyways, I was kind of like getting ready, and so as I was getting ready, I had a conversation, yeah, I'm gonna spare you some of the details, but I'll just say, um, my my mother spoke to me about some issue in the house, and it just went down sideways for me. You know what I mean? Like I was just like, um, it for whatever reason, I just like took offense to it, and it bothered me, you know. But so it's almost like now it's this thing, you know, and now it's like it's like um it's it bothered me, you know what I mean? Like, have you ever sort of gotten ready like for church or something like that, and it's like on the way, like something happens, and you're just like now you're um kind of like upset, you know what I mean? So that happened with me like on Sunday, right? So I was like, man, like now this thing happened, and now I'm like upset, and um just now that's the thing kind of like um on, how can I say, on the forefront of my mind, you know. And it's like we're going to church, and I was just like, man, like I actually just want to be alone. I want to spend time with Jesus to like process this thing, you know what I mean? But but let me just fast forward. And we had cell group on Sunday. So after church, um I went to cell group, and uh you know, during cell group, I just opened up, you know. I just opened up to the my brothers and sisters there at cell group. I trust them, and I was like, you know, I was just gonna share with them like what happened, and you know, just being very honest with them. But it was a really great time to like talk and just, you know, kind of process it a little bit. But here's the thing that I wanted to mention for today. What was what kind of we were just chatting about, you know, how to process these things and things we learn and how to deal with these kind of things. And even though this example that I'm talking about from Sunday wasn't necessarily like a big example, but something in the conversation came up that just sparked something in me, which just it just went like, whoa, like I like that. So we were talking, and we ended up talking about the fruits of the spirit, and so we were talking about like how amazing would it be if we learned how to experience the fruit of the spirit um more and more. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, it might sound, I know it sounds a little bit sort of basic, maybe, but if you think about it, like so, and we're talking about, let's focus on joy right now. Like talking about joy, um, so it made me think, like, man, like for real, like if there's a way for me to learn to sort of like the things that I do that helps me to experience the fruit of the spirit, joy, on like more and more constantly, like that would be so amazing. It would be very empowering, because then you realize, like, my goodness, you know, if I do this, then I experience more joy. You know what I mean? And I mean, we started to speak about some things and stuff like that. But I just thought, like, how amazing is that? You know what I mean? Like, I think if, again, like, I'm trying to say this because I find it encouraging. I find it empowering to recognize that there are things that we do that that's gonna basically like help us to experience the fruit of the spirit, because, you know, in our born again spirit, that's the thing, you know. If you the Bible teaches that these fruits of the spirit are already in our born again spirit. It's already there. So it becomes, the interesting part is actually in our um soul, our mind, will, and emotions. It's there where we need to like figure out, like, what can we do from there to actually release what's in our born again spirit already. That does it make sense? So, oh, and so what I wanted to share was, so you know, that was Sunday, but then the next morning, which was the Monday morning, I just thought how amazing the difference, um that what can happen in 24 hours, because I was kind of contrasting like Sunday morning, and because I didn't really have time to process it, like it actually lingered longer, um in my heart, this not nice thing, and me taking offense, and kind of like the thing, the feelings that goes with that and stuff like that. So it was kind of bothering me on Sunday for a bit, and then Monday morning, I was like, what a difference, man. On like 24 hours later. Um, I was just like, wow, like what an incredible difference. But then I was thinking like, what a big difference. But circumstances didn't change at all. You know what I mean? Like, and it's these kind of things that gets me curious. It gets me like, oh, right. Like, like on Sunday, it kind of something was bugging me, and I kind of felt the effects of that. And then 24 hours later, I was feeling a lot of joy, and I just thought none of my circumstances changed, you know? So nothing from the outside changed. The change, the change was all on my from my inside. That's where the change was. You know what I mean? And I share that because again, it's that it was almost like an encouraging reminder for me that okay, like excuse me, that for me to experience joy and more joy, um, it really there are things that I can learn to do and to apply, that's going to help me to experience joy and more joy, and it's not it doesn't what's the word, it doesn't rely, I want to say, like, it's not dependent on my outward circumstances for me to experience um, this joy. It's got to do with the attitudes that I choose, the things that I value, and these are some of the practical things that I wanted to share, that just is so incredible, because once you learn, like, for example, let's mention a couple of things like the attitudes, um, that we choose, the things that we value, the things that we choose to focus on. It's like, and I mean, there's obviously, this is not an exhaustive list. I just mean to mention like a few things. Um, like, if we think about like attitude, like, and let's just choose something like gratitude. If you just, like, that's, for example, that's one thing as an attitude. Like, I choose my attitude. Like, I choose, am I going to be choosing to be grateful today, um or not. That's an attitude. You know what I mean? And just the difference, I mean, I'm sure you can sort of think about when you choose this one or this one, right? I mean, what a difference it makes. um it just, I mean, I'm thinking about examples right now of just attitude. The attitude, I remember when I was in India, and I was asked to pick up some trash on this like walking trail that led to the house that I was staying. And I remember, like, in the beginning part of that, me picking up trash, I remember in the beginning part, I almost like had this question, let's just say, like, in my head. I was like, why do I need to pick up trash? You know what I mean? Like, it's like, like, what, why do I need to pick up trash? So let's just say my attitude was stinking there for a bit. You know what I mean? But then, I just started to think about some of the people that I saw in India that didn't even have hands. Their hands were, they literally did not have hands, for whatever reason. They had like stumps. You know what I mean? And I saw some people begging, and without hands. It was like stumps on their arm. And immediately I just thought, man, like, I'm gonna choose to be grateful because I'm healthy. I have all my body parts. I have hands that I can pick up this trash on this trail. And just by making that one switch, like, it had a huge effect on like my level of joy that I was experiencing in that example. So that's just one example of an attitude of like choosing, like, am I going to choose to be grateful or not? And then just the massive effects that has. What was I saying? So that was like in an attitude. Like the other thing was um like the things that we value. It's like it's incredible. Jesus said it like this. He said, where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. And you can say that in another way. You can say, like, so where your treasure is, you can say what you value, your heart will be there as well. Do you understand? You know what I mean? So we can really take that and be like, okay, like, what are the things that I value? My value system, because for example, just to give an example here, like, if I value uh let me just think of, if I value, like, um sort of like a very prestigious job or something, or I value, like, that the car that I drive needs to be like a super nice car, and that's just a value, and that's how it needs to be. And I'm just giving a simple example, but if that's something that I value, um or maybe like I need to have like a really high paying secure job, and that's something that I really value. Nothing wrong with having a good paying job, that's not the point here, but I'm saying, but if that's the value, if that's like, if I value sort of to attain a certain level of success in the world's eyes, in the world's perspective, um if that's something that I value, like, then your heart is just gonna follow that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so, whereas there's other things that we can value, um, that's way more important. But what we choose to value is gonna determine our heart following that. For example, we can put the biggest value on eternal things. I mean, that's what the Bible clearly teaches. It teaches us to be like, keep our focus and look at the eternal things. Look at things that are eternal, like God's kingdom, Jesus, like walking with the Holy Spirit, doing anything we're doing from a place of love. Like that's Corinthians 13. So from just as an example, from God's perspective, it's like whatever we do, um, if it's not done from a place of love, like God's kind of love, like we're just making noise, like a clanging cymbal. In light of eternity, in light of, like, from God's perspective, anything we do that's not from a place of God's love, man, it's almost like it's not gonna it doesn't that has no value in God's kingdom. It has no value um like a kingdom value. You know what I mean? I'm saying, like, when we do stuff not from a place of God's kind of love. You know what I mean? So that's just like examples of like the things that we value. And then also, like, I want to combine this with the last one. I see the time is going, so we'll just do that one more thing. But in terms of like the things we value, it really like goes along with like the things we focus on, and that you can see they're kind of connected. The things that we value, um we're going to tend to focus on it. That's part of like your heart's going to follow. It's because, like, if the things we value, we're going to tend to focus on those things, and that's going to all, like, it's going to kind of, one thing's going to lead to the next thing. You know what I mean? So, and it's just so amazing because the things that we focus on, um they get bigger. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, if so, for example, uh, I didn't really prepare examples, but let me just think of an example right now. Um, let's see, like, if um, let's just say um, like, again, like, let's just say if I value, like, just some high paying job as like meaning like that's an absolute sort of necessity that's just like it needs to be like that, um and that's the thing that you value, then your focus is everything that you do is going to be related to, is what I'm doing like basically going to help me to attain this thing, that I'm trying to that I want to have, you know what I mean? And again, please, hear me, like there's nothing wrong with having a not high paying job. That's all. That's not the point. The point is about what we value and what we focus on. You know what I mean? Versus if I, we there's another there's other things that we can value and focus on that's going to lead to joy. And that's like, I think about, sorry, I just think about Paul's example. Paul in Philippians, I think that's in Philippians 3. He mentions some of his achievements. He mentions like sort of like his genealogy, like where he grew up, the tribe that he was born out of, um, the achievements in terms of like schooling, like he was like a student of, I think it's the guy's name, I'm not going to say it, but one of the very prominent like teachers of that time. So you can say like Paul was, he studied um from like the best of the best kind of thing, you know what I mean? So he references like what the equivalent of like maybe like degrees that people get today, stuff like that. Like Paul, he mentions like his achievements, and then this is what I mean, like, but then he says like, but you know what, I count all those things, meaning my own achievements, the things that I thought were so important. Okay. He says he counts them all as, some translations say rubbish, some translations say dung. You know what I mean? He says, I count them as rubbish or dung, for the sake of knowing Jesus. You, and I think that's probably like what I'm trying to say. Like, you just think about that. Think about, how can we apply that into our life? It's like, are we putting more value on and focus then consequently on sort of our own achievements, um, you know, versus knowing Jesus? That's what he's saying. And again, and this is what I mean. So as we're talking about joy and the things that we can do, I mean, you look at Paul's life, it's like his focus and heart was to know Jesus. And so because that's where his value was, his heart followed, and then it's like you can see him go through trials and tribulations, but he encourages other people to rejoice in, here's, watch how he words this. He goes, rejoice in the Lord. So he's saying like, look, listen, like you can rejoice Jesus. Okay. So yeah, I get you. I believe you understand what I'm saying. I just mean, I just wanted to share this because it was like a great refresher reminder for me, just like what I experienced from like Sunday and then going into Monday. And I was like, man, like how amazing that we get to choose, you know, what we value. Like we choose the attitudes um, that we want to walk in, and what we value and where we want to put our focus, and then from those to see, because those are all decisions, what you value, where you focus. We choose that. We have a free will. We're going to choose that. That's not dependent upon God. That's dependent on us. So we get to make these decisions, and then again, if we if our heart attitude and focus and value is on, you know what, the most important thing for me is to get to know Jesus, then from there our heart's going to follow. And guess what, we're going to experience this joy, this fruit of the spirit joy, more and more, just like Paul, and it's going to become more real for me and you. So I just wanted to, I see my time, it's long enough for today. So I just pray that the Holy Spirit would encourage and lift up, and yeah, lift you up, just to just to keep your eyes on Jesus and enjoy this abundant life that He paid for me and you to enjoy. Have a great one.